Idaho Execution Access Lawsuit, a battle for transparency. Are executions public events or state secrets? A legal battle in Idaho is challenging the very definition of transparency in capital punishment. News organizations are fighting for the right to witness every moment, while the state claims safety and security are at stake. Give a like and subscribe. Leave a comment. 3 news organizations have filed a lawsuit against the Idaho Department of Correction, IDOC. They are challenging the state's restrictions on media access during executions. The core of the dispute centers on the constitutionality of concealing the lethal injection process. The plaintiffs in this case are prominent news outlets. They include the Associated Press, East Idaho News, and the Idaho Statesman. These organizations argue that the public has a right to know how executions are carried out. The news organizations argue that the First Amendment guarantees their right to witness the entire execution process. This includes the critical moment when lethal chemicals are administered. They believe that current restrictions, such as screens and walls, are unconstitutional barriers to transparency. The news organizations are seeking a temporary injunction. This would prevent the state from imposing these restrictions in future executions. They want to ensure that the public can see the full process, not just a sanitized version. The Idaho Department of Correction, IDOC, is defending its policy of concealing parts of the execution. They argue that these restrictions are necessary for safety and security reasons. The state claims that revealing certain details could jeopardize the execution process. The IDOC's justification revolves around several key concerns. These include protecting the source of lethal injection drugs. They also want to protect the type of lethal injection drugs used. Protecting the identities of execution team members is another major concern. The state fears that revealing these details could jeopardize its ability to carry out capital punishment. They argue that it would be difficult to find qualified volunteers for executions if their identities were revealed. This could effectively halt executions in Idaho. The news organizations counter these arguments. They point out that media witnesses are already present during executions. These witnesses can observe other aspects of the execution process. The news organizations also note that the identities of some participants are already concealed. They question why concealing the injection process is uniquely necessary. They argue that the state's claims are exaggerated and do not justify the restrictions. Idaho has a limited history of lethal injection executions. Since the 1970s, the state has attempted 4 such executions. Of those 4 attempts, only 3 were successfully completed. This history is relevant to the current lawsuit. It highlights the challenges and controversies surrounding capital punishment in Idaho. It also underscores the importance of transparency and accountability. The recent attempted execution of Thomas Eugene Creech brought these issues to the forefront. The execution was aborted due to repeated failures to establish an IV line. This raised serious questions about the state's execution protocols. During the Creech execution attempt, 8 attempts were made to establish an IV line. All 8 attempts were unsuccessful. This led to the decision to halt the execution. The news organizations are asking U.S. Magistrate Judge Deborah K. Grasham to intervene. They want the judge to temporarily stop the state from restricting media witnesses. This would apply to any executions that may occur before the lawsuit is resolved. The specific restriction they are challenging involves viewing the actual injection of lethal chemicals. They argue that this is a crucial part of the execution process. The public has a right to witness it. The magistrate judge's decision will be crucial. It will determine the extent of public access to executions in Idaho. The case highlights the tension between the public's right to information and the state's interest in confidentiality. The stakes are high. The decision will have a significant impact on the future of capital punishment in Idaho. It will also set a precedent for other states grappling with similar issues. The case has drawn significant scrutiny. The public is watching closely to see how the court balances these competing interests. The outcome will shape the debate over transparency and accountability in executions. The decision will determine whether executions are conducted in the shadows or in the full light of public scrutiny. This is a fundamental question about the nature of justice and the role of the media. The judge's ruling will either affirm the state's right to control the narrative around executions or uphold the public's right to witness the process firsthand. This is a critical juncture in the ongoing debate over capital punishment. The decision will also impact the ability of the media to hold the state accountable. Without access to the full execution process, it becomes more difficult to scrutinize the state's actions. This could lead to a lack of transparency and potential abuses. The magistrate judge's decision will have far-reaching consequences. It will shape the future of capital punishment in Idaho and potentially influence other states as well. The public's right to know is at stake. The case underscores the importance of a free and independent press. The media plays a vital role in holding the government accountable. This is especially true in cases involving capital punishment. The decision will also impact the public's perception of capital punishment. If executions are conducted in secret, it could erode public trust in the justice system. Transparency is essential for maintaining public confidence. The magistrate judge's ruling will be a landmark decision. It will have a lasting impact on the debate over capital punishment and the role of the media. The public's right to know is on trial. The case highlights the importance of judicial independence. The judge must make a fair and impartial decision based on the law. The outcome will have significant consequences for all parties involved. The decision will also impact the families of victims and the condemned. They have a vested interest in the outcome of the case. The ruling will shape their understanding of justice and closure. The magistrate judge's decision will be a defining moment in Idaho's history. It will determine whether the state embraces transparency or retreats into secrecy. The public is watching. The case underscores the importance of civic engagement. The public has a right to participate in the debate over capital punishment. The magistrate judge's decision will shape the future of this debate. The decision will also impact the legal landscape surrounding capital punishment. It could lead to further challenges to execution protocols in other states. The outcome will have national implications. The magistrate judge's ruling will be a testament to the power of the First Amendment. It will either affirm the public's right to know or limit it in the name of security. The stakes are high. The case highlights the importance of accountability in government. The public has a right to hold the state accountable for its actions. This is especially true in cases involving capital punishment. The decision will also impact the future of journalism. It will determine whether the media can continue to play its vital role in holding the government accountable. The public's right to know is at stake. The magistrate judge's ruling will be a legacy-defining decision. It will shape the future of capital punishment in Idaho and potentially influence other states as well. The public is watching. This case is a crucial battle for transparency and accountability in capital punishment. The public has a right to know how executions are carried out. We must demand that our government operates in the open, not behind closed doors. Contact your elected officials, share this video, and support organizations fighting for transparency in the justice system. Let your voice be heard and help ensure that executions are not conducted in the shadows.